Some guests are still joining, so we'll start at 3.
Sure, sure. Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, shall we start? Good afternoon to all and all present here. I welcome you all to this virtual session organized by DCF, Department of Economics, Public. For the past 3 years, DCF has been conducting activities and events in the world of economics. The club runs many weekly activities like Word of Week, Filmonomics, Synchronomics, quizzes to name a few. It shares news and articles related to economics on its official social media networks. DCF has a very interactive and interesting Instagram account managed by its creativity and innovation head. For the past 3 years, this event is possible because of the integrated efforts taken by the entire team, especially the activity and program management heads, as well as the publicity and PR heads. The president, vice president, secretary, and the treasurer. Dude, no. Dude. Why is there a glitch? Seriously. I'm not on other device.
To have you here. Once again, a very warm welcome to you, ma'am. शांत संयमी व्यक्तित्व आपुले खुलून दिसते मृणाली सुमन अभिमान आम्हा विद्यार्थ्यांना
whether there is some issue with the audio.
Ma'am, I'm very sorry for the connectivity issue here. Extremely sorry, ma'am. So, ma'am, शांत संयमी व्यक्तित्व आपुले खुलून दिसे मृणाली सुमन अभिमान आम्हा विद्यार्थ्यांना आतुर ऐकण्या आपुले मार्गदर्शन. So now I request you to provide us with your valuable guidance. Thank you, ma'am.
Can I start now?
Yes, ma'am, sure.
Please tell me if I'm audible rightly. I mean, if there is any issue, I will just increase my volume or anything else. Fine. Am I audible right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
मला वाटलंच तरी होईल म्हणून.
So a very good afternoon to everybody. First of all, I would like to thank Principal Sir, Fergusson College, Honorable HOD, Fergusson College Economics Department, Dr. Surekha Rumte ma'am, Santosh Farande sir, and all my other teachers at Fergusson College, with whom I had the privilege of being associated with, and also privilege of having learned many things, which I think are still useful and I think will be useful in my future journey as an IS officer and have been useful till date in my entire journey in the UPSC Civil Services exam. I would also like to thank the entire economics club and the department for inviting me here and giving me the opportunity to come and speak on this platform. And being associated with you virtually is indeed a very, very happy and joyful experience. It's like coming back home. And I've spent nearly 5 years in Fergusson College, 3 years in the economics department to be specific. And my years at Fergusson were indeed very, very joyful and enjoyable. And it feels great to come back home. I would also like to thank the presenter for actually giving such a long introduction, such a beautiful introduction. But I think I still have a lot to do. So I think this is just the start, and but thank you for that introduction. So I have had many questions which Sakshi forwarded me, and I think this entire presentation is all about sharing my own experiences and merging the questions that I got from Sakshi and from my friend students, who most of you are present here. So I will be giving a presentation in the form of question answers and merging those questions in my presentation first. And secondly, I would like to tell you that this was my second attempt at UPSC. So I may not be the one who would be able to tell you the perfect strategy. In fact, I personally believe that there is no one strategy that one must follow. However, I can tell you through my experiences what I believe the UPSC journey is about and how we can approach UPSC as a whole. So please, I request you to not generalize anything, just take it with a broad mind. And I'm sure that this is all about what I have done. And let us all take it as a learning experience so as to personalize it for your own benefit and make your own strategies according to it. So I would just like to tell you about that. So the first thing which I would like to answer while starting is that people asked me, my friends asked me, what are your first feelings when you got secured the 36th rank in civil services examination? Indeed, I think it is a very joyful experience to have secured such a rank and working for nearly 3.5 to 4 years for that particular rank. But I think most importantly, it is a feeling of deep gratitude which fills one when he or she gets such a rank in the civil services examination. I have always believed that the examination is not an end in itself, but it is an entire process of personality development, of learning, of actually exploring your own strengths, working on your own weaknesses. And I think I feel deep gratitude for all those people, for all my teachers, for all my friends, for my parents, for my entire family who have supported me in this entire journey. And I think it is this deep sense of gratitude that fills me when I first got to know the result. So that were my first feelings when I got to know about the result. So I think let us start with what I need to explain. And I think that regarding my journey, whenever we are covering this entire journey, I will also, like I said earlier, try to cover various questions which my friends have asked and which I've received. So this will be a complete entire experience in itself. I request Gauram to please move on to the, if possible, otherwise I do it. Okay. Yes. So today what we are going to discuss first is what I did before I decided to get into the UPSC or before I actually decided to appear for the civil services examination. Then I would like to narrate my journey and my preparation strategies after my decision to actually appear for the civil services examination. I call it a process of confusion to clarity. And I gave nearly 3.5 years to UPSC for UPSC dedicated preparation. We will also discuss about the guidance taken and the institutions involved. And we will also speak about the importance of self-study in this examination, which I find extremely important. I will talk about my first attempt and the learnings which I had from this first attempt. Here I couldn't actually clear the preliminary stage itself. So that was a learning experience for me. I say not failure, but a learning experience. Then I will talk about the second attempt, and it was the last one for me. I had decided that second attempt would be my last attempt. Then we will briefly touch upon the strategy for pre, mains, and optional, as well as the interview stage. I will be briefly covering these aspects as well. Then I think the most important part of this entire presentation, which I think is life beyond UPSC and the Bachelor of Arts degree and UPSC, because I think most of us are from arts background. I think these aspects are important for us to discuss, for us to share as students. And we will also try to answer some of your questions if we get it on the public forum, right? So I think we'll move on to the next slide. I always believe that the examination is not an end in itself, but the questions we get it on the public, right? So I think we move on to the next slide. I think there is some issue with the next slide. Please bear with me. Can anyone help me to navigate forward, because I think there is some problem with the navigation. If you have access to the PPT as well.
Ma'am, is this the slide you want?
The next one, the third one. Yes, right. The pre-UPSC days. Thank you. Right. So I call this pre-UPSC days stage very important, and I think each one of us faces such kind of stages in life when one has to take important decisions and actually trace and move ahead on the career paths that we decide. So for me, the period from 2013 to 2015 was when I took 12th science at Fergusson College in the junior college, and though I was good in academics, I got above 90% in the science stream, the physics, chemistry, and maths stream. I was clear about what I didn't want to do. I was clear that I didn't want to get into engineering and medical because I realized that it is not always possible that marks translate into your liking. So you might get very good marks, say in engineering or in science subjects, but you can't do that with a sense of pleasure and a sense of enjoyment in that entire learning process. So I think for me, such kind of enjoying the learning process is very important. I place that at one of the top priorities when I actually decide any career path which I need to take. And fortunately, I was supported by my parents and by my teachers who believed in me and encouraged me to actually decide my own career path and my own individual career goals. So I was really fortunate in that aspect.
Seriously?
And maybe it may be because of the inherent prestige associated with engineering and medical, the prestige and status associated with the science subjects. We still consider the Bachelor of Arts degree as a bottom of the barrel degree, right? So I think we need a very strong social support as well as a very strong will to actually take control of our career and decide that no, Bachelor of Arts is what I'm going to do, and I will do it with full dedication and full perseverance, as well as answer people or ignore them if I need to get into the arts, right? So I think most of you must be able to empathize and relate with this aspect. And I'm sure you've come facing all those and societal issues, right? So 2015 to 18 were my graduation days, and they were all about exploring new things. And I consider these graduation days as extremely diverse learning experiences, which opened vistas of learning for me, which gave me an opportunity to actually study issues at hand, to undertake study tours, to study new subjects, to learn from esteemed professors, as well as to improve and upgrade my skills. So I consider my 3 years Bachelor of Arts as not merely a degree in its own aspect, but a very, very enriching experience. And I'm sure that each one of you must look at this degree, which makes you a better human being, a better person, and a very skilled and a developed personality as a whole. So this is what I really believe the Bachelor of Arts degree must do. But here I must also mention what all I did along with graduation, because I think it has a direct impact and has had a direct impact on the UPSC examination. And I firmly feel that the UPSC examination for me has not merely been a 1 year process wherein I have been merely studying from books or studying from, say, test papers and writing, but it has been an amalgamation of all those things I've learned over the years with the Bachelor of Arts degree, right? So here, from 2015 and 16, I did the foundation course for personality development at Chanakya Mandal Parivar. It was a 1 year course. Then I moved on to Jnana Prabodhini's Leadership Development Center, and I did foundation and preparatory courses at Jnana Prabodhini Leadership Development Center. And here we had a blend of academic and experiential learnings, which we did from 2016 to 2018. So if I would like to sum up what I did from 2015 to 18, along with my Bachelor of Arts degree, I did this 3 years program, first at Chanakya and then at Jnana Prabodhini Leadership Development Center, which included a holistic aspect of experiential learning, of academic learning, of something which was complementary to which I was studying in my college. So I was always busy in my college days along with attending lectures in the morning and then doing these all things in the afternoon and even in the late evenings on the weekends too, right? Along with these courses, I also did an undergraduate certificate course in Women in Development. It was offered by SPPU at the Fergusson College campus. And I think it was one of the most enriching courses that I did at the Fergusson College campus. And I think it has made a deep impact on me when it comes to understanding the subjectivity and the complexity in women's issues. So I think we even have a course now which is related to gender development and culture, if I'm not wrong. It has evolved over the years. So that was a certificate course which I did for nearly, I think, 8 to 9 months. It happened in the Fergusson College campus. Then I did a course in Quantitative Economics and Econometrics from Symbiosis School of Economics. And I think that was also a very enriching experience in the terms of adding to my analytical skills and developing that kind of strong foundation of mathematics, which I think is very necessary as civil services aspirants, because it gives you an edge not only with respect to CSAT, but also with respect to understanding questions, with respect to comprehending questions, and even with respect to writing good answers. Because once you have that kind of good foundation of maths and stats, I'm sure that it becomes easier for you to have very strong analytical capability to take on any question, to take on any, what we can say, MCQ, perhaps in preliminary examination, or even any question which is asked at the personality test, that is the third stage of the UPSC civil services examination. Along with this, I also did various MOOCs. MOOCs, I think most of you must be aware of it. It has now grown as an entirely new phenomenon and is now spreading everywhere. It is called Massive Open Online Courses, and we actually get certificates for the courses that we do in MOOCs. With respect to MOOCs, I did some courses which actually won for adding to my knowledge, complementing my studies. For example, I did a macroeconomics course from I think it was University of California, Irvine, which was offered on Coursera. And with respect to English and other things, I also did various MOOCs. For example, I did a course on Shakespeare because I loved reading Shakespeare. So all this, what I intend to say is that the Bachelor of Arts degree is not merely a degree, like I said earlier. It is an opportunity to learn many things, to develop A, good writing skills, B, good analytical skills, to search your interests, to look at what you actually love, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and whether you really want to prepare for civil services examination or whether your interests lie elsewhere and you want to pursue it with your own heart and soul. So I think all this is very important, and I think this entire foundation has helped me in the UPSC civil services examination, which I decided after my graduation days. So this till the third year, till I graduated in June 2018, I was unsure of what I wanted to do, and it was only after June 2018 that I actually decided to appear in the civil services examination, right? So this is about the pre-UPSC days. I wanted to give you a brief background of this because I think it is very, very necessary for us to take the Bachelor of Arts degree as a learning experience. So can I have the next slide, please? Yes, thank you. Right. So after June 2018, I think I call this entire thing as confusion to clarity. I decided that I did not, I now wanted to move on to the civil services examination. And for that, I think the most important thing that I had decided for myself that I must have a very strong purpose. I must have a clarity of purpose. And why UPSC is an answer that I think each one of us must have. And most importantly, it mustn't be based on some external motivation, A, or any short-term, what we can say, doses of motivation, or very short, I say, pseudo feelings which are temporary, but we need a very strong pragmatic view when it comes to moving on to UPSC. And for that, we must have first a purpose clarity, and second, a very good assessment of what we actually want to do. And that is why such kind of clarity for each one of us is necessary when we actually move into the full-fledged preparation of UPSC CSE. I think for this, we can take good guidance from seniors, from the people that we really look up to, from our teachers, from our mentors, from senior persons who are knowledgeable in that field, and then try to take our own assessment with this entire holistic view, whether we want to move into the field of UPSC or not, right? So such kind of pragmatism is necessary when it comes to actually moving into the field of civil services. This, I think, is very, very important. So for me, I think I had this purpose clarity that I would have nearly 3 years in which I would try to give a dedicated and full-fledged preparation time for the UPSC civil services examination. And I had full support of my teachers in Jnana Prabodhini as well as at my home. So that kind of support structures, I think, are very necessary when it comes to moving on to this examination, moving into the field of civil services examination, right? So many of my friends had asked that when did you decide to venture into the field of civil services? So it was in June 2018. I decided after my graduation that I would prepare for UPSC examination, and full-fledged preparation was started in June 2018. So we can say that the pre-UPSC days were merely just moving on the runway, and actually the flight was in June 2018 when I actually made that decision that I would venture into the field of civil services examination, right? So here I would also like to mention the institutions where I was involved, because many of you have asked about coaching, about guidance, and whether it is necessary. For me, I think I was really privileged and honored to be associated with Jnana Prabodhini Spardha Pariksha Kendra in Pune, Sadashivpet, and I did a facilitation batch here. So the facilitation batch at Jnana Prabodhini is about hand-holding. It is about self-study, but giving a direction to your studies in which you have regular tests, regular mentoring, so that a track is kept whether you're in the right direction or not. And that kind of hand-holding, I think such kind of guidance in the form of giving direction to your preparation, for me, I think it was necessary since I was new to the field of civil services. With respect to coaching and guidance, I think that it is a debatable issue. We need some kind of guidance and coaching for certain subjects, for example, optional subjects, if we don't have a specialization in our graduation fields. But again, what I mean to say is that we need to have our own self-assessment of what we need and what we need to do and which kind of guidance do we need to have. For me, I believe that I did not need a full-fledged coaching class as a whole, because I had developed those kind of skills in my entire Bachelor of Arts graduation days. So all I needed was a direction needed for my preparation and some basic direction for tests, for learning, and for hand-holding. So I think all that I got in the Jnana Prabodhini facilitation batch, which I did from 2018 to 2019. Right? So here I would also like to address a very important issue regarding optional subjects, which I think we have also got a question regarding how to choose our own optional. So regarding that, I think, again, like I repeat, there are many knowledgeable and senior people in the field of civil services. I think we must take their guidance if possible. I am not the right person to actually tell you how to choose your optional. However, I can tell you what I thought when I actually chose public administration as my optional subject and not economics. I think for me, I chose public administration, one, because when I looked at the syllabus, I realized that the field of public administration has had an influence of economics and psychology. So both these subjects have influenced the field of public administration. In fact, if you look at the post-globalization era, economics and the market approach is one of the most dominant approaches which we see in public administration, as well as a psychology minor subject, which I had, motivation theories, organization structures, human resources. All this I studied during my third year and second year, social and industrial psychology. So I felt a kind of affiliation when it came to public administration as a subject. Secondly, I felt that since I need to step into the field of civil services, it becomes my own responsibility to at least know about the basic theories associated with public administration, as well as to know the mechanisms that the administration follows. So for me, I think it was a matter of great responsibility and a matter of both affiliation, which drove me to select public administration as my optional subject. And I did choose economics for that purpose. Again, when it comes to self-study and its importance, I think that self-study is an essential part of your self-assessment, which we do. And self-study is extremely important when it comes to UPSC preparation. One, because for me, I think over the period of 2 years, we have been facing the COVID pandemic. And at such times, when you sit in a room, that kind of alone, that kind of discipline, motivation, and your own planning and execution is all that matters. For me, I think self-study was an essential portion of my entire preparation. And I think it was that personalized approach which helped me in the civil services examination, right? So if I need to summarize what I just said, we must need to have a very good sense of purpose when it comes to civil services examination, a pragmatic approach when it comes to entering into the field of civil services. We need to take our own assessment of our own economic situation, of our family background, of our educational background, of how many years we want to invest in this field, rather than getting motivated by some short-term things which are available in the market or available on YouTube, say motivational videos or other things. I think that we need to have our own sense of self-motivation, and it is that kind of purpose and passion which drives our own preparation strategies. Our sir at Nyan Prabodhini used to say that our purpose and our passion should drive, but our intellect should guide us. So I think that kind of entire strategy or entire thinking should go behind this entire UPSC examination. And I think individualized and personalized thought and action on it is very important. We often go to peer pressure. We start comparing others, and we tend to get what we can say extremely motivated and extremely. We need to move on with the flow. But I think we need to have our own rational thought behind that whenever we start preparation and when we venture into the field of civil services. That is why I think this entire process, the start of this process is very, very important when it comes to the civil services examination, right? So this was my thought behind moving to the field of civil services examination, right? So can we have the next slide, please? Yes, thank you. So 2018 to 2019, I have been involved in full-fledged preparation for the UPSC examination. I gave nearly 8 to 10 hours of regular planned systematic study for this examination. And that was my first, actually, and many of us encounter our first failure when it comes to the civil services examination. And at that time, I think the resilience that we need comes from various factors and from various social structures that we have around us. The same thing happened with me. It was at this time I realized that I have strengths such as sincerity, hard work, and good social skills. I was also honored and privileged to have a very good social support of teachers and mentors whom I could speak to, whom I could discuss what my shortcomings were, and could get out of that failure early after my June attempt. So these were my preparation. These were my strengths. However, I also realized that there were some weaknesses. And with respect to the temperament aspect, I think it was the perfectionism. So many of us who have had that good academic background or go in that very ambitious stage when it comes to UPSC, for me, it was that kind of need for perfectionism which actually hindered my attempt in the first, a successful attempt in the first attempt itself. For UPSC, I think if we look at the technical aspects of what I was weak in, I realized that I was first going after coverage rather than repeated revisions. So that was my first weakness. I was looking at what all things I need to cover, and all the things on quantity rather than qualitative revisions. So that was my weakness. And second thing I thought was that I was underconfident. With respect to the preliminary examination, I think we need to believe that for me, it was essential to believe that whatever I've studied, I'm going to give my best in that. And there are some things which I might not have studied, but that is okay. So I think that kind of acceptance when it comes to the preliminary examination for me was very much necessary. And I think I learned a lot from that first attempt. Here, I would like to elaborate on another aspect which is very near to me. And that I think is underconfidence in and low self-esteem in my female friends, in my friends which I've seen. In fact, I have also been a victim of that same underconfidence and low self-esteem. For me, I've observed whatever my limited experience has been in working in slum areas or during the Women in Development course or looking at my other female friends. I've seen that we have this kind of self-criticizing attitude which takes a heavy toll on us, and also overthinking. We need to we think a lot about what we've done, and we think a lot over our own weaknesses rather than actually appreciating our strengths and working positively on our weaknesses. So I think this kind of underconfidence and low self-esteem was an issue that I faced in my first attempt. I'm sure many of my friends, female friends who are going to give UPSC, I would like to share this with them. And the need to overcome such kind of underconfidence and low self-esteem is extremely important. For that, I took the help of good social structures, like I said, good counselors, good mentors, and my good teachers at Jnana Prabodhini itself, as well as my parents who helped me get over this low self-esteem and start believing in myself. So I suggest that if you face this issue, do take the help and don't hesitate to actually seek professional help when it comes to such kind of underconfidence and self-esteem issues. I think all of us as women need to work on this aspect positively so that we can augment our strengths and work to the best of our capabilities, not only in the civil services examination, but in any field where we need to sit on the table and need to take the helms of leadership to the best of the aspect, right? So I think this is very, very important. And this is the message I would like to give from this platform, right? So the learnings I would like to share here is that no one can pull or help yourself unless you help yourself out, right? So you need that kind of intrinsic drive and motivation necessary when it comes to the civil services examination. You cannot rely on somebody to hold your hand or pull you out from the abyss that you've created for yourself. Of course, taking the help of a good counselor, good social structures, parents, mentors, friends, a very good circle. Here I've mentioned the fourth point, an excellent friend circle. So here I would especially like to elaborate the thing that I changed from my first attempt was in the second attempt. We had a very good social structure in the form of an excellent friend circle. In fact, every 15 days, right at the Kimaya, in the campus near Kimaya, we used to meet and we used to discuss regarding what all we have done in the last 15 days when it comes to UPSC. We used to evaluate each other and we used to give honest criticisms and honest feedback, writing on a piece of paper regarding what he or she needs to do to improve over the next 15 days. So such kind of excellent friend circle, again, I repeat, which is extremely dedicated, which is focused and serious in that entire preparation process is very much necessary. It gives you a feeling of togetherness and you understand that in this entire process, I'm not alone. I have my friends who are also preparing and I can always seek their guidance and help when it comes to the civil services examination, right? So this was the thing that we changed in the second attempt as a group, okay? The next thing that I think I would like to share is the hobbies that I pursued in the second attempt. So like I've always said, UPSC is not a one-year examination, for me at least. It has a soul. It has its own, what we can say, a sense of, again, I would like to repeat that word, a sense of soul and a meaning. And that meaning is what we give to UPSC, to that entire process, right? So for me, UPSC was not a one-year exercise. It was born out of the various hobbies that I pursued. For example, the writing which I did in various magazines. I even wrote in the Fergusson College magazine. I wrote in Yuvan magazine of Jnana Prabodhini. I wrote various articles. And I think that improved my writing skills, my analyzing skills, my understanding of issues well. So I think this helped me in the UPSC examination as well. I also did painting. And that helped me in my interview. I would like to narrate that experience later. and I also traveled a lot. So I think I have had the privilege of traveling in various states, of staying in various places, of trekking, and I think all these things broadened my entire perspective of what the examination is about and what in which field I am going to enter into, and which are the areas where I need to make a change, right? So when I worked in the slum areas of Pune, which I did just after my graduation in the Nagri Vasti Kendra of Jnana Prabodhini, I got to know about the issues that women face in the slum areas in Pune. And for example, right next to the campus of Fergusson College, we have the Vadar Vasti and the Gokhale Nagar area. So often we tend to overlook such kind of slum areas and the issues faced by these people. But I had the privilege of being associated with such kind of issues, and it was such kind of exposure on field learning which helped me in the civil services examination to develop a sense of empathy and a sense of association with the people around me and the entire process as a whole, right? Again, here I would also like to elaborate on the importance of exercise and meditation, which I think is very, very important in the entire process of UPSC. In the first attempt or in the first year, I was not very regular with my exercise and my meditation practice. However, in the second attempt, I exercised and did meditation regularly, and that built in me a sense of resilience, a sense of calmness, which has helped me not only in various stages of the examination, but I think that kind of discipline, which it has helped imbibe in me, I'm sure that it would help me in the future too, right? So I do suggest that you don't look at this entire process as merely a 1 year process in which you close down all your windows and study in a small room, perhaps in some kind of corner. That can be one of the strategies. But for me, it was all about widening my perspectives and trying to become a better person in this entire journey, right? So this is about my first attempt and the learnings. I now request Gaurang to please move on to the next slide, where I will actually talk about my second attempt and what all I did. Thank you. Yes. So this was my second attempt in which I secured All India rank 36. Let me narrate with you the thoughts which I've had before the second attempt. I had decided for myself that I need to stop somewhere in this journey. Not because I couldn't do it or because perhaps I have to move on to some other things or I have other compulsions. But it was a personalized thought which I gave to myself because I had decided that I need to give the best to the UPSC, and giving that, I'm sure that there are many other fields open for me, many other things which I could excel in, if not UPSC. So I need to stop somewhere and understand that the next 4 or 5 years I could have given to other fields as well as I had given to UPSC, right? So I think that kind of clarity of what I wanted to do and self-belief that the second attempt would be the last attempt helped me in this attempt as well. I've always said that when we decide when to begin, we must also decide when to stop. So for us, for each one of us, I think it is that personalized strategy, personalized thinking that goes behind every attempt, which is very, very necessary, and not merely going with the flow. Thinking rationally in this journey is equally important, as are the emotions associated with this entire journey, right? So here in the second attempt, I had decided that it was now or never, and I would complete my Masters in Arts in Public Administration. I've just completed it. The results will be out soon. I just gave my exam of IGNOU, to which I did Public Administration. So I decided to go on with my formal learning as well, and not merely go into the UPSC mode only. Second, I think the first attempt was a learning experience, and I learned a lot from that first attempt, I decided to execute what I had actually learned in my first attempt, right? So in the first attempt, I did not have the opportunity of learning or going into depth of the subject of public administration. In the second attempt, I decided that uh, I would take it as an opportunity to uh, learn more about the demand and content of public administration. So, taking into account the entire shifted schedule of UPSC examination, I actually enrolled for a good professional test series in which I, with every question or test, I tried to improve myself. And I think the second attempt I took it as a opportunity for uh, improving my score in public administration, right? Yes. So now this was the strategy for public administration which I adopted in the second attempt. Then the first 4 or 5 months after my failed attempt or the first attempt, I concentrated only on mains. Then in January to 2020, I shifted to prelims, wherein I focused mostly on the past year's test papers and tried to understand what actually is the uh, demand of UPSC and what UPSC expects from us, right? So I wired my brain, or I wired that kind of I made a sort of wiring in which I developed an aptitude for the preliminary examination, which I didn't have in the first attempt. In the first attempt, I was more after the content aspect. I was more after knowing many things rather than solving the questions which UPSC asks. Here in the second attempt, I decided that I need to answer or I need to wire myself to suit the demand of the preliminary examination. And I solved past year's test papers. I did extensive analysis, like I've already mentioned, the analytical skills that I got from studying maths, stats, social statistics. I used them to the best of my extent. I used Excel, Microsoft Excel, so as to make extensive sheets and understand the areas where I'm lagging and work on them in the next test. So here I would like to mention an important strategy which I used with respect to the preliminary examination, and it was that of a feedback loop. A feedback loop, I think most of you must have studied in various things. You have the input, throughput, output, and feedback, which is there as a part of the systems approach that you study in various social sciences, in various fields of humanities such as psychology, public administration, economics, and other things. So here what I did was, the input was perhaps a test that I solved, right? The throughput was the process by which I solved that entire test paper. Output was the kind of the marks that I got. Second, the kind of improvement that I did. And feedback was how I worked on that entire test to improve in the next test, right? So if I'm able to explain it well, I think it was a procedure, entire process in itself. Each test which I solved was a process in itself and not a one-time exercise in actually solving questions, right? So I think such kind of micro-analysis is necessary when it comes to the preliminary examination. And because it was one of my weak areas, I think that this kind of deep analysis, use of technology, use of statistics, and self-introspection was the major thing that helped me in the second attempt, along with a very positive temperament and self-belief in myself, right? So macro planning to micro planning, and most importantly, execution is very much important for this examination. We make big plans, but fail to execute them. So for me, it was all about how I execute perhaps a monthly plan, then a 15-day fortnightly plan, then a weekly plan, and then a daily plan, and most importantly, an hourly, a minute-wise plan, and how I tried to make the best of each minute that I have with me today, right? So such kind of foresight is necessary, and we did this with the help of a group study. And here I would also like to mention how we kept a sort of external accountability along with an internal accountability on each one of us. So we had this kind of spreadsheet, Google Sheet, which we had, and every day we used to write down on that sheet what are our plans for today, what are our plans for our week, and then at the end of the day, each one of us on that spreadsheet used to fill in what we actually did on that particular day. And then the other four members of our group used to see whether that person has really done that for that particular day, whether that person is perhaps 2 or 3 days into a kind of lazy mode where he or she is not doing anything. And such kind of external accountability, such kind of checks actually helped us in this entire examination. Third and most importantly, I think a very positive temperament and self-belief. Like I have said, most of us face the issue of fear. So for me, it was the fear of preliminary examination, the fear of having failed, and the fear of having failed again, of having perhaps encountered failure again in the second attempt. But with the help of my guides, with the help of my teachers at Jnana Prabodhini Spardha Pariksha Kendra, I realized that there is a need to overcome such kind of fear and to instill a sense of self-belief and confidence, of course, very rationally, and think about it as merely an exam, which would not decide my entire future, but would be a sort of preliminary stage, which I merely need to pass for the sake of going to the next stage, right? So the kind of emotions attached to this entire exam, I think, reduced to the extent of a very pragmatic, a rational approach to this examination, and a sense of calm and a sense of belief that I would have my social structures even if I encounter any kind of failure in my life, or perhaps encounter any other failure. And I would also have a plan B if I don't succeed in this examination. So I think such kind of approach is necessary. It is necessary to overcome your own fears, but also think very rationally when it comes to this examination. So if I have to summarize, in the second attempt, I had a widened perspective of UPSC. I had a positive sense of self. I had developed good analytical skills over the years, having studied economics. I had learned how to execute and keep a check on myself as well as others. I did a lot of MOOCs. I also did a course on behavioral economics from the Rotman School of Management, an online MOOC which I did. I pursued my hobbies, did writing and poetry, which helped me in this examination. And during the entire COVID period, I think what helped me was a sense of qualitative study than quantitative study. We always relate this examination, I think, with a sort of qualitative outlook. For example, what is the rank you are getting? What are the marks you are getting? What are the number of hours that you are studying? But I think most importantly, we need to look at how are we refining the process and what kind of quality we are giving to this entire examination. Other things would follow if you do that dedicatedly, right? So this is what I need to say regarding the second attempt. Now let us move on to some kind of strategies which I've tried to summarize. Gaurang, please slide. Thank you. Right. So since this is the first, or we can say this is a broad presentation which I'm trying to make here, I would summarize the strategy for prelims I used, and this table says it all. If I need to talk about the sources, I think the adjectives associated are more important because we all find a lot of common sources which are available in the market. But what is more important are the adjectives and the type of use that we make of the sources. I think we need to have fixed sources. For me, that was the strategy. Second, multiple revisions. Third, what worked for me was micro notes. For example, when it comes to Lakshmikant, I realized that I have a very poor memory when it comes to remembering the constitutional articles or remembering the actual clauses which are there in our constitution, or remembering Lakshmikant as a whole. Here I decided that I need to improve my memory, and for that I need to write those things in micro notes format. I need to use technology for compactness. So I often made tables on an Excel sheet and tried to make everything very compact and concise for this entire UPSC process. So the strategy for prelims was all about, regarding the sources, was all about multiple revisions, which I did using my own micro notes. for this entire process. Okay. Regarding planning and execution, which I think is a very important part of preliminary examination. Like I mentioned earlier, micro and macro planning are very important in this entire process. Group accountability, I've already detailed about that earlier, and individual accountability. So above everything I need to say here is that we need to be true to ourselves. We need to be true about what we are doing. We need to have a very good analysis, a very good self introspection at the end of the day regarding what we've done today, regarding whether I've done qualitative study or whether I was just merely going or browsing through pages and nothing registered in my mind. So that kind of being true to yourself and a good sense of self introspection and accepting the things that our own evaluations of ourselves is very, very important. Tests, like I mentioned here, that kind of feedback loop was an important aspect when it comes to tests. Limited tests, detailed analysis, and working on earlier analysis was a major factor which helped me in this preliminary examination. And like I said earlier, working on earlier analysis is important because that is how you make progress and that is how you move up on the learning curve and try to become or try to give a better in the next test that you actually solve for preliminary examination, right? So temperament, like I said, positive. UPSC is just an exam, and also doing hobbies, courses, masters, good social structures help, right? Many of my friends have asked me regarding current affairs. I will be elaborating a detailed strategy when I actually publish a website which I intend to do for exclusively civil services examination and aspirants. But here I would like to mention briefly what I did with respect to current affairs was that daily newspaper and use of technology, multiple revisions. So we often confuse current affairs with the entire process of civil services examination, but we must realize its limited nature and also focus on static aspects as well. In fact, we often try to run after the current affairs that comes anywhere and everywhere. Here we need to be practical and pragmatic when it comes to actually reading and learning about the current affairs. For that, I used Evernote and OneNote to a large aspect to make less repetitive and more concise notes when it comes to the preliminary examination. And of course, reading the daily newspaper and understanding what to take from that newspaper, what will matter in the examination, what will matter in the preliminary examination, what will matter in the mains examination is very necessary. And I think that learning how to read a newspaper is indeed a skill in itself, which we must all develop as a serious civil services examination over the years. Right. So this was about my strategy for prelims. Let us move on to the mains aspect, skills and good analysis skills. Okay. So for me, writing the mains was a very enjoyable experience. And if I want to talk about the mains, I think having a very good hold on the language and very good entire content of main examination helps to a very large extent. In Marathi, if we want to write, many of my friends have asked, I'm not quite experienced about that. You need to ask somebody who has actually written the mains in Marathi. पण ज्या भाषेत तुम्ही लिहिणार आहात, ज्या भाषेत तुम्ही मेन्स परीक्षा देणार आहात, त्यावर पूर्ण प्रभुत्व पाहिजे असं मला वाटतं. Any examination has, I think, the language should be looked at as a very good source of medium for expression, and that helps in entire examination as well, because you can express yourself well in that particular language and your point reaches to the examiner well, right? So for me, GS with respect to the general studies, GS 1, 2, 3, I had point-wise concise notes, page notes ready with me even before the preliminary examination. And because the COVID pandemic extended this entire year schedule by nearly say 4 or 5 months, I think that helped, wherein I already had notes ready when it comes to the general studies aspect. Of course, GS strategies 1, 2, 3 for each of the aspects are quite different. You need to have a separate strategy for me at least, for every part of the syllabus, every point in the syllabus. For example, art and culture, I had a different strategy. Polity, I had a different strategy. Environment, disaster management, I had a different strategy. Such kind of point-wise notes and a strategy for each of the subject in the mains examination, I think is very necessary. I will be working on that and sharing with you the website link when I actually consolidate all my material and try to explain how I made point-wise notes regarding every part of the syllabus, right? So here I'm just going through briefly to actually reach out to you what I did for each of these parts. So regarding essay, I think I've already mentioned earlier, भाषेवर प्रभुत्व असलं तर essay हा aspect खूप चांगला होतो. म्हणजे you can express yourself well. For me, it was an inherent liking for writing and working on better structures. So while I think that I could write well, it was also important for me to structure the essay well so that I don't sound haywire in that entire essay. So I worked on various structures. I experimented on myself. I solved various test series, took opinion from various seniors, from experienced people. And I think that is why the entire essay or the essays which I wrote, one was on women and patriarchy, which I found extremely enjoyable as an experience to write. And second, which a philosophical one, which again was a very nice experience for me to write. Entire writing thing becomes I'm repeating this word again, enjoyable experience, right? So this was the case for me. I think it was also the kind of reading that I have had since my school days. Avantar Vachan Jala Manto, although all the other fiction and non-fiction books that I've read during my graduation days, even before that, I think my love for reading, I'm a voracious reader, so that helped me in the entire civil services process. And also in the essay, like I'm saying here, right? So optional, with respect to optional subject, I think that for such kind of subjects, especially public administration, I needed, at least on my part, intense practice and a very good evaluation of the past year question papers and analysis of what UPSC has asked over the years, right? So for me, it was all about structuring, about moving on to the demand of the entire question, and then practicing all the questions to a better extent so that I solve the questions that UPSC is trying to ask, right? So I actually timed myself and did intense practice over the 4 or 5 months which I've had, even before prelims and even before my main examination. So I think this optional wise strategy differs from one place to another, and it is again, I think you need better guidance for that aspect as well, right? Regarding tests, I have already said that you need feedback loops and learning curves. These are two of my favorite words, and I think that again, a very good analysis using an Excel sheet in which I wrote down my weak areas and tried to work on them in the next test as well, so that I reduce my weaknesses and try to augment my strengths are very important. Others, I think, for me, I think the UPSC has been a personalized experience, and for that UPSC, one of the things that I think UPSC expects is originality today. If everybody is referring to the same Vision IS 365 material, what are the new things that you're adding on? How well are you going to, as a person, address the question and the demand of the question as well? So that matters. Second, I think for the main examination, it is all about consistency, right? So you need to, on 5 days that the examination happens, you need to bat every day like a test player, seasoned test player, and that kind of consistency, keeping your mind calm, and completion of the paper, which I think is a prerequisite today, needs to be done in a better way, right? So demand along with content and structure is very, very necessary, I think, today in the civil services examination. And for me, it was all about addressing the demand of the question. I had the content ready over 2 years, but how well I could answer what UPSC is asking in the main examination is how I worked on in the 2 months with the help of regular feedback, and intense practice, right? So this was all for the mains which I needed to share with you. Let us move on to the last part, that is the personality test. Yes. So we call the interview personality test, and I think personality is not something which is developed over the 1 month or before your actual personality test, but it happens and is built over time, right? So I've always believed in that, and I think for me the strategy for personality test and interview was being my own self and being genuine to both myself as well as to the evaluators, and having a very positive sense of self, which I've already elaborated earlier. Uh, if I could narrate some of my experiences, I think that I had Dr. TCA Anant Sir's board in the personality test. And in fact, one of the first questions that I was asked was with respect to if you had to do your master's, which was the degree or which is the subject you would like to specialize in. So I talked about behavioral economics because I think I had done a MOOC on behavioral economics and I found great interest in that subject. And then the entire interview moved around how I could use behavioral economics as an administrator and bring about real world changes, especially in this COVID times, right? So it was an interesting one-on-one conversation in which I talked about the tribal areas, I talked about vaccine hesitancy and other aspects, which I think was a very joyful conversation with the esteemed panel members which were present. Also, regarding the personality test, I had the opportunity of talking about the similarities between mathematics and painting, the similarities between creativity, the left and the right brain, and creativity and analytical skills and logic, right? So I think such kind of interdisciplinarity, which I have already had been associated with since my pre-graduation days and also during my graduation days, such kind of interdisciplinary attitude and focus which I've had helped me in that interview as well, right? And I also think that the kind of repetition that we have had with respect to only engineering or mathematics that we have had in the interviews, we have seen that nearly 70 to 80%, I'm not sure of the statistics, but are engineers from esteemed colleges which appear for this examination. So such kind of newness and a different angle was added to my interview. So it was a very enjoyable experience. Secondly, again, here I would like to repeat is the importance of group study. So here we actually had a discussion over the years during these COVID times in which we exchanged views, had debates and mocks, and over Zoom meetings, 5 of us, I'm very happy to tell you that 3 of us have made it into the IAS and 1 will be an IPS officer. So 4 of us actually have had good interview scores, personality test scores, and over a period of nearly 8 to 10 months, we worked on improving each other, right? So debates, exchanging views, and very serious, dedicated, focused preparation over Zoom calls and meetings helped us in this entire preparation. And I think all of us, that is why I have got an edge when it comes to the interview. So here again, I would like to mention the mocks I have had at Gnan Prabodhini, at Chanakya Mandi Parivar, and I also have had 3 offline interviews, which I think are very, this is an entire era of virtual interactions when it comes to offline. So we need to check our own suitability, whether I have these skills, and if not, how can I improve or how can I imbibe in me those kind of skills so that I make myself suitable for the civil services or for any profession that I need to enter into, right? So I think we need to act very proactively on such kind of social skills, communication, leadership and other skills right from our graduation days so that we try to become better persons and better holistic personalities as suited or as needed as civil servants or in this entire examination as well, right? So social structures, like I've been elaborating studies, we need to have that when we do our humanities examination by any chance, right? So this is what I wanted to speak mainly to the students and my friends who are pursuing their Bachelor of Arts degree, because I completely understand the rigor that this entire process has, and I can empathize with you all, especially when it comes to the humanities aspect as well, right? So the next slide, please. It is the last one. Yes. So this is merely an entire macro perspective which I've had with respect to especially the strategies of prelims, mains and interviews, and an overall perspective, my overall journey which I've had with respect to UPSC. So I will be penning down my detailed subject-wise strategy in a few days, and I would be publishing a website so that I reach to maximum amount of people, and I can share my own experiences, my own learnings in a better way of this entire process. I would also try to share some of my notes, though I think that most of them are consolidated from various aspects. I would try to put up my notes as well on the website as well. So I'll be sharing that with.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Since ma'am has all the points that may be useful and helpful for our aspirants, but still we have some couple of questions.
Clarity you have with respect to the various issues that you see around us, you. So at various stages, the commission has various expectations, and all we can do is try to gauge at various stages the expectations and give our best.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, we have another question that how to prepare for ethics integrity aptitude paper.
Right. Yes. For ethics, we have two major portions. First is the static, or the we can say the information part, content part, which is there, which doesn't change. Second is the part of case studies, right? So if you have a strategy for each of these sections, which I had, for example, with respect to case studies, I had analyzed year's question papers and then try to have some ready-made formats which I could use for each of these case studies, so that I could incorporate them quickly in my ethics paper, and I could save time, because ethics, I think one of the major issues that we all face is about saving time and completing the paper, right? Regarding the content part and the theory part of ethics, I think I have my own personalized notes in which I incorporated examples. For example, during the COVID time, we had positive things which happened. I had my own experiences about various ethical issues, which I incorporated in my answers. So ethics is about some part of static things which you cover from the standard books that you refer to, which are available in the market, and your own personalized approach which you have for ethics, which helps in answer writing. Yes.
Ma'am, we have another question.
Yes.
What was your biggest motivation during the entire preparation?
Okay. I think, like I said earlier, it was that kind of self-motivation which I had, that deep sense of purpose which I've had from the beginning about doing something impactful. Like I said earlier, I had the opportunity of working in the slum areas. I have had the opportunity of traveling in various parts of India, seeing the problems of people. And I think that kind of motivation was the one which stayed with me. That self-motivation of actually coming into the services through this platform of civil services and working for the people was the one which stayed with me. This is the biggest motivation which I've had.
Ma'am, we have another question that how did you sorted out the resources for your every subject?
Right. Regarding the resources, I think that first, since it was my second attempt, in the first attempt, of course, I had a pre-decided book list which we often get in various organization institutes, which is available free on the digital platforms. For example, Polity, Lakshmikant is always referred to. You don't have almost very few resources other than Lakshmikant which people refer to. So such kind of resources which were available and which were provided in my facilitation batch of Gyan Prabodhini were those which I referred to in my entire preparation. And secondly, I think the second type of resources I would like to say is that the micro notes which I made from those primary sources. So you have primary sources and you have secondary sources. Some of them were the original books, and the micro notes which I made from, say, Lakshmikant, here I'm giving an example of that, were my major resources which I used for the civil services examination.
Okay, ma'am. So we have the last question for our today's session. That since you are preparing for this exam for so long time, so how did you manage to study in every aspect, including your current affairs, as well as maintaining the discipline throughout the journey?
I think, like I said, I've been preparing for nearly 3.5 years. So the discipline aspect, when it comes to that, I think planning and execution is very important. Internal and external accountability is important. Like I've already mentioned here, we did group study in which we kept a check on each other, as well as individual accountability. And I would like to just say here that sense of discipline comes from your own clarity of purpose and your what we can say self-motivation, which drives you till the end. So it is not something which can be imposed from outside. It is something which makes you get up every day, study, execute those plans. And another thing here I would like to mention is that I made small, what we can say, small achievements which made my day. For example, perhaps solving a paper or every weekend and then trying to improve my score. So such kind of achievements which I made for myself, which I created for myself, actually helped in keeping discipline and self-motivation. Yes.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. So there is a notice for FY students that the link is shared for first year students to join the WhatsApp group. So it is pasted in the chat box, so you can go through the details. Now I would like to call and invite Farande sir to share his words of wisdom and his views.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So really, this is nice guidance to the economics students, those who are preparing for the UPSC, and the Department of Economics, Fergusson College, Autonomous. Really thankful to you, Mrunalee, and I think there is a due to your greater speech and the guidance, many students will I think inspire to prepare for the UPSC and other civil services examination. So from the department side, as a coordinator for Economics Club of Fergusson College, once again I thank you to you, and that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Now I would like to call upon Shubham Kendre to express our sincere thanks to Mrunalee ma'am.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, Shubham, you're audible.
Enjoy the little things for one day. You may look back and realize they were the big things. My dear friends and colleagues, a very good evening to all. It gives me an immense pleasure and deliver the vote of thanks for the session to all the dignitaries present here. As it is said, no duty is urgent than that of returning thanks. So I take this golden opportunity to thank the honorable and respected chief guest of this event, Ms. Mrunalee Joshi, for attending this session despite her busy schedule and sharing valuable insights and wisdom with all of us. We assure you that we would cultivate the advice gave us in a real life. Thank you so much for. I extend my gratitude to our beloved principal, Dr. Ravindra Singh Pardesi sir, the program officer, Santosh Parande sir, and of course the head department of the economics, Dr. Surekha ma'am, for their valuable contribution, guidance, constant support, and encouragement in all our efforts. Last but not least, I thank the volunteers for enthusiastically participating in this event. Without you, this could not have been a grand success. Once again, I sincerely thank one and all for glorifying this event. I hope that you had a wonderful evening. On behalf of the Economics Club of Fergusson College, I would like to end the session with a small quote which goes to: we can't heal the world today. We can't heal the world today, but we can begin with a voice of compassion, a heart of love, and an act of kindness. Thank you so much. Over to you, Sejal.
We hope that you enjoyed this session today. Soon we'll be coming with all other activities. For more updates, to follow our Instagram page, YouTube channel, and WhatsApp groups. And even in chat box, we have a feedback form. So we request you to provide your feedback. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You can leave now.
Thank you, ma'am.